So with Mattel delaying their Snake Layer crowdfunded campaign for Mattel Creations, the question has started to come up, have we reached a limit on big playsets and vehicles for collector lines, and is this crowdfunding model almost dead?
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and on today's video we're going to be really discussing more of a business thing than a toy thing, but in the form of collecting. Because I think that this conversation is an interesting one. So I actually got the idea to do this video off of discussions on my live stream, which came out this week, and also a video that Pixel Dan did recently, which you should go check out. It's a nice companion to what I'm going to talk to here. Pixel Dan was talking about how Mattel delayed their Snake Layer crowdfund campaign. And he talked about that, you know, a lot of people are not interested in it because they don't have a nostalgic tie to it. And he also talked about how maybe we're at a limit with how many big items we can continue to buy as collectors. And I think that his thoughts are very interesting. I wanted to kind of give my own thoughts on this as well. Now, I was never somebody that was going to buy the Snake Layer because I love Masters of the Universe, but I'm very picky and I'm very specific. And so, like, for example, right behind me, this is the majority of my Masters collection. I still need to rework this to like work in some Masterverse in place of some of these Classics figures, but this is like the majority of my display. And if you can notice up here, up top, I mean, I've talked about it before, but here's my Castle Grayskull. This is the Classics Castle Grayskull, which in fact might be the first example of big ass playset crowd-funded model that we've ever seen. And this was way before Haslab, way before anything else. Mattel did this with Matty Collector, which was to release this, they had to have a certain number of people order it, and then if they did, they would actually produce it. And it's beautiful. I love it. It's got some problems, like the floors aren't super sturdy, but I love this gigantic thing. And so the thing is, that was one of the earliest examples of that. And so I was kind of in the ground floor on the, trying to fix my angle back. I was in the ground floor of this, like, let's just do something huge and crazy. For me, I never had a Castle Grayskull, and I thought, hey, in the scale I like, you know, that 6 to 7 inch size, that's exactly what I would want. And so I backed it, and you know, we got it, and it's beautiful. Again, still issue with those floors not being super sturdy, but that was like the first time that happened. And then later on, we've seen other versions. We've seen, you know, the Origins Castle Grayskull was a retail item, but at the time, this was like the only way to get a Castle Grayskull is if people backed it. And then, you know, Super 7 did Snake Mountain years later, which I didn't get because Snake Mountain was huge, and this is huge, and I only really have room for this, not really a Snake Mountain as well. Kind of like, even though I deeply love Thundercats, the Cats layer that Super 7 put out, which luckily did get funded, I didn't back because I was like, where the heck am I going to put it? I have a hard enough time fitting the Thunder Tank. And I say hard enough time fitting the Thunder Tank, it's right there next to some other stuff, but like, you know, it's not really like up on a shelf. I think, what was my point here? The point is that we've been kind of seeing a lot of this lately. His Tank, which even had an add-on pack that came later. There's, oh yeah, this is the example I was going to bring up. The Sky Striker for the 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joes, the O-ring style. I got one. I don't have it on display because I actually don't have a 3 3/4 inch display anymore. And I'm like, this is big. There's other things like the Transformers, all the Titan class figures in addition to the Haslabs. I kind of appreciate that Transformers Haslab's a little smaller. Of course, in my other room, which you can see in my collection tours and stuff, Galactus and the Sentinel and the upcoming Giant Man. There's been a lot of these huge projects, stuff I haven't backed, stuff I have backed, and I'm starting to, personally speaking, I'm feeling like I'm out of room. And so I think that's happening with a lot of people. So the Snake Layer thing was interesting because Mattel heard kind of the reaction from Comic-Con, put out a survey, and then ultimately decided not to go forward with their original plan. And it's kind of interesting because I think that Hasbro would be the kind of company just to throw it out there and watch it fail before taking feedback in. But I kind of appreciate that Mattel did do some feedback and some tweaking. Because, personally speaking, right now, the current big crowdfund campaign is the G.I. Joe Classified Series Rattler. And I'm currently not backing it. And it's not because I don't think the product's worth it. I think everything it comes with, the price and all that, I don't have any problem with that. It's the size. Because this Sky Striker's a pretty big plane, right? Like, this is pretty big, but the Rattler's even bigger than this. The Rattler's bigger than the Dragonfly. I bought the Dragonfly. I don't know where the Dragonfly is going to go. I'm still trying to find a home for the Hiss Tank. I still need to, like, redo a bunch of shelves just to get that thing in. And I'm also like, should I just wait till the Dragonfly's here so I can try to fit both in? So I'm not sure if I'm going to do the Rattler. And like I said, I didn't do the Cat Slayer. And like I said, I didn't do Unicron for transfers, so I thought it was way too big. I was like, I don't have room for that. And so it does become, you know, the question of, at what point have we just capped off all the ideas, right? Like, what is left for these lines to do in these big crowd-funded multi-$100 items? What's really left to do that people would actually buy? Masters of the Universe, because there was already a Classics Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, there was an Origin scale. They did Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain at retail, and then they did Eternia as a crowdfund. But then the Snake Pit, people were like, eh. And the Snake Pit was never produced before, so you think that, like, the newness of, like, oh, hey, here's something you never got before. But I think people were like, and $300 for something I never had a nostalgic connection to. There's that. This is also the dangerous cycle with these toy lines, is when we only go after the things that we remember from the past and not anything new. Yes, I wore the X-Men 97 shirt on purpose. But the idea that you got to continue to evolve, which is what I appreciate about G.I. Joe Classified series. It's like mixing in 80s designs with newer designs of the characters, and I really like that. So the question really becomes, where is the limit on this big toy crowd-funded idea? So basically what I'm saying is that there has to be a limit, right? So I think with Marvel Legends, I think we're still good to keep trying certain things, but it's a kind of a tricky balance. Marvel Legends had this thing where Sentinel was super successful, Galactus was really successful. The Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider didn't fund, which still saddens me, but I think there was a lot of problems with price, and go back to the nostalgic attachment thing, Robbie's not been around more than 10 years, so kind of maybe there wasn't enough nostalgic pull for that price. And then Giant Man funded, but pretty late in the game. But Marvel Legends kind of going into this new model of like, here's a big figure we'll do as a made to order, and I kind of like keep doing that. I don't think we need to necessarily do a Haslab every single year. Star Wars, the Cantina struggled. It didn't make it all of its goals, but it did get made. The overall just general vibe off the Black Series Haslabs is that those just did not go well. Star Wars is interesting because people will spend money if they feel like it's necessary, because there's items like the big Millennium Falcon or the $300 Star Tours vehicle that's sold out in minutes. You know, Star Wars fans will show up and spend money if they feel it's worth it. And so it's kind of interesting, if it's in the 3 3/4 inch scale, I should say, the Black Series scale, not so much, but in 3 3/4 inch scale, there is people that will roll in and buy a lot. But I wonder if the Cantina wasn't so much a price problem, but it needed too many backers. Like, if it had a lower threshold, I think it would have made all its goals. Just stuff like that. The interesting part of Masters of the Universe is I thought that, oh, that's another fandom that's willing to show up and buy pretty much anything, but like the Snake Pit reaction was, we don't want this for this amount of money. I think the Snake Pit's going to have to scale down if it wants to get made. Thundercats fans, there's nothing else for us at this point. The Cat Slayer, it made it. It didn't like make it all the way through its stretch goals, but it made it. Thundercats fans, I think we're pretty much like Thunder Tank, Cat Slayer. Like, what else are we looking for? I would love to see a Mirage from Silverhawks, even though that would be gigantic. But I don't know if that will happen because, again, you know, Thundercats is a hard sell. Silverhawks is a harder sell. Let's see, what other brands we got? I think, what other place? That's G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe's interesting because Classified sells incredibly well. Hiss Tank did amazing. It was the quickest funded Haslab, I think, ever. The Dragonfly did very well, though it was a little bit slower out the gate. The Rattler was really quick out the gate. It funded in the first day, but then it slowed down. And currently, as of time of recording, we haven't hit the second stretch goal yet. I say we, even though I said I'm not packing it. I'm hoping that makes all of its goals, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to get it. And I wonder if that's where we're at with G.I. Joe, because there's so many figures, and there's so many, like, now we're getting these smaller vehicles, like the Vamp. Like, I'm kind of cool with some smaller vehicles for a bit. I don't know if I need a giant vehicle every single year. I definitely was in for the Hiss Tank, and the Dragonfly's figures sold me more than the Dragonfly. And I think the reason I'm not in on the Rattler is because the figures aren't selling me because I don't want to display those figures without the Rattler, and I don't know if I have the room for the Rattler. And then with Transformers, luckily Transformers did this huge Unicron, but then its later Haslabs have been like, here's an overly complicated Japanese Transformers design that's hard to do at retail, and let's just get it done because we can do it sort of with this more flexible budget by having all the money up front in the form of Victory Saber, Death Saurus, and then Omega Prime. The good part with those three is that they are smaller, so they're not taking up a huge amount of room. They're still big, but they're not like Titan big. And I think that's kind of like how maybe we should take some time off. I think Marvel saying there's no Haslab in 2024 was a relief, not just for money, but also for space. I don't know where I'd put another giant figure because there's definitely not going to try a vehicle again. So I kind of wonder if maybe, you know, G.I. Joe should maybe take next year off of the Haslab. Just give us a break on this. Because I still, again, like I've said, I haven't found a home for this tank because I'm trying to decide if I want to set up a G.I. Joe display around the Hiss tank or wait till the Dragonfly gets here and set up a display around both. Because there's just so many things moving all the time. It's really interesting. But I guess my overall conclusion is, personally speaking, I'm going to be a lot more selective with these big items I'm going for because I just feel like I'm out of room. And I love G.I. Joe, but I don't know if I can justify the Rattler's space. Money? Yeah, money's one thing, but space is finite. And I'm not sure if there's anything I'm willing to sacrifice that will allow me to get that blueprint for the Rattler, or the footprint that the Rattler will take. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. I just think it's an interesting topic. Where are you at with these giant crowdfundings? Are you like, I can't afford them, or I can't have space? Which is the bigger problem? Is it the price or the space? Because I think for me, you know, price and, you know, stuff, I can adjust budgets and not buy as many single figures, whatnot, to get like a big Haslab. But space is my bigger problem. I have a space issue more than I mean, I also have a money issue. The point is, if I really want something, I can figure out how to get the money for it. But if I can't find a space for it, I don't feel motivated to buy it, if that makes any sense. So I would say, let me know what you think. What is the biggest hurdle with these giant projects for you? Is it the money or is it the space? But on that note, hit the like button. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe and notification bell for this video to get out to more people, grow the channel. It helps support, helps keep these things going. I love having these kind of discussions. The comment sections are always very fascinating. You can also check out our live streams on this YouTube channel every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We always have a good time discussing things like this. A lot of business talk, a lot of cool discussions, a lot of news recaps. Really fun time. Also join our Discord server for more of the same. You can keep our active chats going. You can join the link below. If you'd like to help support the channel directly, consider joining as a channel member. There's perks like early access to videos, member-exclusive live streams, and special shout-outs. Let's give some special shout-outs to our channel members. Special shout-out to all of our channel members, including our Captain Tiers, Spin-54, Toma K, Master Ben 95, Jamie's World, Jack Move Johnny, Yukio Sayuki, Michael Flores, Steel, Aaron, Rabbitman, Shigs, Jess Hood, Vigo, Common Pikachu, Geets, Andy Stutz, Joy-Con Girl, Dazagno, and Ben Odinson. Thank you all for your support of this channel. You can also find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643, and you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for entertainment news, reviews, interviews, and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.